I'm going to save you $2,700 because you're going to learn from my mistakes today, and we are going to go through what a tech stack is. The reason we're going through that is because when I was learning to build my software, I used a full stack software. But the challenge with that is that you're paying for that, right? Because they use Claude Code, or they'll use an AI that's already pre-existing, and then they'll do everything for you. They'll set up the full stack so you don't have to. Couple of things. If you want to take your software out of that, you need to learn how to use, you need to learn what the full stack is. It can be really expensive. I spent $2,700 in 6 weeks and got my costs down when I took it out and moved into Claude Code and set up the full stack myself. I now spend $400 a month. Huge, massive savings. Honestly, I can't believe it. And that $2,700 was without all the edits that I've done now. I have done so much that I had to move to the Claude Max, because that's a Max account, because I've been using it all the time and it's amazing. So just something that I feel like full stack, guys. Let's get into it. I'm not a developer. I don't have engineering or coding experience, but I think this is something that we need to learn because AI is heading that way. We are learning how to build things ourselves, and don't shoot the messenger, guys. I am not saying that we're going to build unicorns, become a developer, have the skills of a software engineer. What I am saying is we're learning to build. AI is here to support us in that. We are building MVPs or products that we're getting off the ground to test if they work. We're testing our skills in seeing what we can do with technology and how it's lowered the barrier to entry, right? Again, we're not saying unicorns, we're saying entry. And I think, again, one of those things is a tech stack. We need to know exactly how the data flows, how it works, and no, we don't need to know the ins and outs fully, but we need to have an idea. So let's get into this video today. Okay, let's get into it. So this is the great thing that I want to start with, this little bit here, because I feel like it explains it so well. So a tech stack is basically the stack of technology that you choose to use for your project. So here is us, yay, right? And then we have Claude Code. So Claude Code builds something that gets sent to GitHub. Drizzle Translator, that's just a language I put in there because you'll see it a lot come up in Claude Code. Neon stores it. Railway serves it, the world sees it. Okay, so when you're setting something up in Claude Code, right, what you're then doing is you're creating a set of files and then you're putting them on your computer. And then where you save them as well is actually GitHub, right? So this is GitHub, and I just like to see it as all our files saved, right? And it's kind of like a backup. That's how I think of it. I know it's not the exact, but where have we got it? So this little sheet explains it. So every change that we make in Claude is saved here as a checkpoint. If you break something, you can go back. It tells Railway when to redeploy. Okay. So basically what happened is when we have a project, so when I go into Claude Code, I will be like, hey, let's create this new feature. And I've already set this up, right? So you just have to go in and create accounts. Like if you're doing it the same way, Claude Code, GitHub, Neon. So you've got Neon there. I've got Railway. So Railway is another one. And let's do it in order so we don't get confused. Right. So Neon is where your whole database is, guys. So think of this. When you think of building something, it's all about having data and keeping that data somewhere and using that data to display it in a certain way, right? So I will show you my content flow project as well. So basically think of it like this. I'll give you one example. One of the things it can do is plan posts, right? So this is a set of data. This tells me what form it is, what content form, so long form, where it is in the system, so its status, the title of it, what platforms we want to post it on, whether it's scheduled or not, right? So that is one set of information. That information gets stored in Neon. Neon creates everything is in tables, guys. I remember someone saying to me once, it's literally apps and software is just about how you're displaying data. And that helped me understand it so well. So this would have a table, right? This would have a table, content piece, for example. Let's go to this table. I see status has its own piece. So each type of data will have its own table. Now, the reason that I just want to show you this is because I think it's really important to know how the data is actually working in the background. So you can see here, right? This is a content piece. You've got the content piece, the ID. You've got the status of where that piece is right now because this is the table to monitor statuses, right? This is where it's come from. This is where it's gone to. This is the actor name. So again, I probably wouldn't call it this, but this is the thing with using AI too. It doesn't always label it, right? This is the person that's using the account. And then we've got when they've created it. That's just the messages and that's the status for, yes. Now we've got let's find content pieces. I feel like this is probably the best one. This actually tells us about the specific content pieces. So every piece has a number. It has a type like we spoke about before, right? And then it's got a link, which is if we find like a similar post that we want it to be like an inspiration post. It's got a caption. It shows us when it's created. It's got the platforms that we want to post it to. Some don't have any yet. It's got a title, body, status, scheduling, whether we're going to actually use a scheduler or post it manually, or if we have is a priority. That's something that I did so that we could choose whether, with the editor, we want someone to edit something first. Captions. Basically, you can see here how that stores all the information. Now, when I make a adjustment in Claude Code, when I want to create something, Claude will actually decide how to sort this information out. It'll ask me questions like, what I want the feature to have, and that'll determine how the data is structured, right? So it'll go back here, and this is where all our data is saved. So important. Everything's in here. This is Neon. This is just something I've chosen to use, but you'll hear a lot of people talk about Supabase, right? Then after that, when I go into Claude Code, I'm like, okay, for example, I could say, hey, let's add another type to content piece, right? Say we do that. That will add that, and it'll add it into the background, and then it'll update it in GitHub, right? It'll say, okay, GitHub, our folders have changed. Let's go and change all of this. Great. And then what'll happen is GitHub will be like, okay, now I know a lot of people do local testing. So basically you can test your files using your browser on a local host. So on your laptop. I don't do that. I just go straight for the kill because I don't have any users yet. So I don't mind. So basically what happens is Claude will go, okay, let's update Neon. Let's fix all this, add all the information that we need to. Then what it'll do is it'll do another set of coding, which is React Tailwind. That's a different set of language where it builds the UI, right? So this is building what this looks like. So we've got two sets of changes. We've got the background data, and then we've got the how it's being displayed, right? So that's where React and Tailwind come in. That is what it's talking about. Okay, then we've got Drizzle, which actually communicates between these two. It's the translator. So that is what helps us to translate, like you'll see here, React speaks JavaScript, which is the language that we use to build the UI. And then it says Neon speaks SQL, that's the database. Drizzle sits between them and converts one to the other automatically, okay? So that's what connects those two. And then I put some examples of what's here, okay? So you define the tables. So then I put some little bits here just to give you some idea of like some things that can come up in Claude Code. Okay, so that's that. So when I make a change, two things will happen. Neon will create the database, yes, and then the part we don't see, which is also done in Claude Code, is Claude Code will also do this. It'll create the UI for whatever I'm building for that particular component, or whether it's a new page, it'll do all of that. Then what will happen is they'll send it to GitHub. GitHub will be like, okay, we have an update. We can test that, or we can just, which again, this is like something I do, not probably what professionals do, but I'm not a professional, so that's okay. So then GitHub will be like, okay, check it, make sure it's all good, aligns with the current code that we have. And then I will use Claude Code and say, just push it straight here. And then what happens is you'll see here, these are all the changes that I've made. And you'll see the GitHub logo, and then that's this account. All the changes that I've made over time. And then deployment successful means, okay, we've pushed this. This is now live. So when I go into my actual software, the changes will be made. Okay, so let's go back to that we spoke about. So you'll see here, I describe a change. Claude Code will build it. It'll build something in Neon. It'll look at the data, build the table, do all of that. And it'll build any UI features that we need. Drizzle will do its thing in the middle. Like you said there, GitHub it'll get saved to GitHub, which is where all our files are. And like I like this example. Like Google Docs version history for code. Claude pushes changes, GitHub saves them, Railway picks them up and deploys them. Okay, so GitHub is like something I feel like that's used by, like, it's pretty big, pretty common. So Neon stores the information. Yes. So as we add information. So if you go in right now and you say, I want to create a new post, what will happen is it'll actually go straight into the database. Like that's what it's doing. It's saving, it's using Drizzle. It's going, okay, these changes are happening. Let's store, like, what do we need to store in the database? It'll do all of that. Okay. And then Railway will serve it. So again, if I'm at, I get that's a little bit different. That's like, okay. So there's two ways to think about this. When we're adding data from the front end, okay, so we're adding a new post, for example, we're like, okay, let's add a new post. So what happens here is that gets added and it goes into Neon. That's where all our information is saved. But when we are going from the back end and creating a new feature, then Claude Code will again create that database, create the UI, and that'll pop up here. And GitHub will look, first it'll go through GitHub, it'll check everything. Then we say, hey, Railway, get it up. Okay, so then we make Claude Code changes. It's gone and added things to the database. It's gone and done what it needs to do in front of the UI. Then it's gone and sent it to GitHub to get everything checked and like make sure it's saved there. And then we push it to Railway and then it's live. So this is the tech stack, right? Now, when you go to a tool like I did where they have a full tech stack, you don't see any of this. All you see is like you might see Claude Code or, what they use on the side, and then you will see your end result. You won't see the rest of it. You won't know what the rest of it is. So if you want to take it out of that platform, it becomes really intimidating because we don't know what it is. So this is what this is about. It's just like a little checklist. And again, this is like for AI starters, guys. We're not saying this is the be all and end all. And if anything is confusing, add it into Claude Code, ask it questions as you go, or Claude. But yeah, this is basically how it works. And I feel like this is really important information to know if you want to create something because it actually explains it. So you describe it, Claude builds it, GitHub saves it, Drizzle translates it. I mean, we didn't have to put that there, but it's still, again, a bit of information we can use. Neon stores it. So that's where all our information is in the background, all our data, right? Super important. And then Railway serves it. That's the host, the thing that actually gets us to here. Because without this wouldn't exist. And I feel like it's so important to say that because I used to be like, I don't understand. How do we actually get it online? So these are the most important tools to help us get there. So you'll see I've got Terminal there, which is running Claude Code, which is why I haven't shown you it, but there, right? And then we've got, again, Neon, we've got Railway, GitHub, and then it's done. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or anything like that. I would love to know. Yeah, I hope that you found that helpful.